Hey, Hill Squad. Welcome to part 2 of my conversation with psychic medium Matt Fraser, where we talk about how you need to be aware of the psychic energy of any house you buy or rent, the importance of not rushing and letting things breathe and play out, and how you don't need to be a medium to tap into your psychic energy. I really hope you enjoy my conversation with psychic medium Matt Fraser. Do you talk to are you able to talk to your grandmother on the other side and people you love, or do you not have that ability since you're too close?
No, so I do, but you gotta know that souls only come through for a reason. Souls come through when they have a message for you. So, like for example,
Oh,
I can't just make my grandmother talk to me. I can't just make my grandfather come and speak to me because I have to learn my own life lessons just like you, and I don't have the ability to cheat life. Right? I do receive information for myself, and there is information that the spirits tell me that help me in my life. The same way that if I were to do a reading for anyone, information will come through to better their lives as well. But it's not constant. It's not every single day. But when big things are happening and big moments are happening, or maybe there's red warning signs about something, right? They'll come through and they'll tell me. So, for example, like one of the most life changing messages that I received was from my grandmother when my mom had gotten diagnosed with cancer. I'll never forget it. There was my breast cancer ran in my family, and there was a couple times when I was a kid when my mom would always make sure that she went in and got herself checked, had her
right.
examinations. And I'll never forget that when I was a kid, there was a scare that my mom had. They brought her in. They thought that they saw something. Come to find out, she went in for a level 2 exam, and it was nothing. And that happened twice, where like the machine screwed up and it thought that something was there and it wasn't. So I'll never forget that. I want to say it was about 8 years ago or so. My mom had gone in to the doctors, had her annual exam, came out. They called her up on the phone and they were like, you need to come back. We think we've seen something. And my mother was so pissed. My mother was like, "Are you freaking kidding me?" She's like, "This always happens to me. They always think that they see something. This machine always screws up." So my mother was like, "I'm not going back in. I'm not going back in for that. That's bullshit. They always waste the time." So, anyways, I was like, I was like, we kind of like just passed it off. And then my grandmother came to me and said, you need to tell your mom to go in. That it's real. It's legit. There's something that's there. It's not like the last time. So my grandmother told me, there's something there, but tell your mom it's okay. It's fixable. And I remember telling my mom that, and my mom was so upset and, so anxious about it. It wasn't information that, she took lightly, but it was what she needed to hear to get back in there, to have that exam, to go through the surgeries and everything that she did. And turns out it was fixable. Thank God, knock on wood, she's still with us to this day. So
I that makes sense that they only come to you when there's a message.
well, yeah, I mean, the thing is that your grandmother or your dad or your mom doesn't come through. Do I sense and feel them? Yes, but they don't come through to me to be like, "Oh yeah, Matt, tell her that everything's fine. I'm in heaven. We're up here, we're chilling." When souls come through, it's because there's something that they didn't get to tell you here in this world, something that's going on in your life right now, something that they wish that they would have gotten to tell you, but they didn't. Right? That's when they come through to me as a medium. So, for example, some people will come to me looking to hear from their mom who had passed away, and they were by their mom's side, got to hold her hand, got to kiss her goodbye, got to do all of these things, right? Their mom was their best friend. They lived with her. They did all these things. And then they'll come to me for a reading and their mom won't come through, but their, father will come through, who they hated here in this world, who they were estranged from, who they couldn't stand. They're like, oh, why? I don't understand. Why is my dad here? Well, your dad has unfinished business. There's things that you're holding on to. There's hurt and pain that's here that he wants to resolve right now, and I'll be like, do you sense and feel your mom? They're like, oh yeah, I get signs from my mom all the time. She appears in my dream. I see her. I feel her. Do you feel your dad? No, I don't. Why not? Well, me and my dad didn't get along. Well, your father's here. That's what's so cool about the afterlife, is that when our loved ones leave this world, they are with us in a different way, in 2 ways, actually. So they're with us in a different way spiritually, but they're also with us in a different way, where your loved ones can feel you more now than they did here in this world. They can feel the pain that you're going through, the hurt that you're going through, and they know what you're thinking, not in a bad way. So, for example, when you're having anxiety, when you're having really restless thoughts, when there's something holding you back from living life, when you're going through grief or guilt or whatever it is, your loved ones can see that. And that's why they come to me as a medium, to heal the things that they didn't get to here in the physical.
It's funny because I had an uncle, my niece and I channeled this one uncle, and she said, "Oh, he's got to put his teeth in." And I remember he was a hockey player. It came up in the 60s, so lots of partying. So between the hockey and whatever he was taking, most of his teeth fell out. But she said, "Oh, he wants to put in his teeth to talk, and he's rotating his jaw because." And this was so weird. This guy's been dead for maybe 40 years, but no one had talked to him. So he was so excited to talk because no one, and I know that because no one in the family would ever talk to him, and he was somebody that was an underachiever, left unfinished, a lot of unfinished business here, kind of made a mess, well intended, but made a mess, and he was like so excited to speak, and I just thought it just seemed so real to me that, because the psychic didn't know about his teeth and didn't know. And he's struggling to put his teeth in, and he's rotating his jaw because he hasn't spoken in so long, but he's so excited. And he went right into it. It went, started pitching me ideas for screenplays too, which was so him. But I found that, I wonder, is there any way, like lately in the Greek church, one of the things I like about Greek church, my wife's Greek.
Wait a minute. You're Greek as well? I didn't know you were Greek.
No, I'm Italian, but
okay.
but you have to understand, if you marry a Greek wife, you have to go Greek. It's just an unwritten rule.
No, my wife's Greek. That's why I'm saying it. So I know all about the Greek church and about, we celebrate 2 Easters
Greek Easter,
now.
that's right. You do both.
Yes.
Oh, good. Okay.
Christos Aneste to you.
Cristo Aneste. What is it? I used to say Ernesto Christe back. That's not what you're supposed to say. You're supposed to say Alathisto Aneste, I think.
Yes.
Right. I should know better. I've been at this a long time. But one of the things I enjoy about Greek service, other than the fact that it's long and it's another language, but I do enjoy the smell of the candles burning, the lighting of the candles. I enjoy the symbolism, but I also love the lighting of the candles for people who've passed over.
Yes.
We used to, when I was very little, most of the Catholic churches had that. They cut it out. But the Greek churches I all go to have that, and I love it. First of all, it's a great way to raise money for the church because I just buy a slew of those little candles. But I feel good when I can honor the people that have been on the other side. And I wonder, do they feel that sentiment, you think?
Oh, they definitely do. They absolutely do. Anytime that you honor a loved one, even when you don't think that you do, for example, when you say, "Oh, I wish my mom was here right now," or "I wish my dad was seeing this right now," when you say that internally, right, or you think it in your head, what the souls tell me is that it's like ringing the doorbell to heaven. The same way that we get emotion on our Ring camera or emotion alert on our phone when someone is approaching our house or delivering something, whatever it may be, that same thing happens in heaven. Is that any time that you think or say something about your loved one, they get an alert in heaven and it brings them into that conversation. So whether you're just saying, "Oh my God, my dad would have loved it right now if he saw my son doing this," or "My mom would have been so happy to see me cooking her cookies," whatever you think about internally, they hear and they're sharing that moment with you. And it's really funny because I'll tell you that there's many times where I'll do readings and people will be like, "Oh my God, I didn't realize that my mom was listening. I didn't realize that my dad was listening." And they truly do. And especially they love to hear the memories that you have with them. So when you're sharing memories at the table of, certain times that you spent with them, about certain family members that, you miss and you love, they're gathered around that table and listening as well.
I mean, I think about the people who've passed in my life. I mean, I still think of this is decades ago. I still think of my dad every day, many times a day. So it's nice to hear that, he would be receiving that.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And, it doesn't matter how you get the messages to them. They receive it, whether you think it, whether you write it down in your phone, whether you write it down on a letter. I had a woman that I was just reading for. She had lost her son. And every day for a year, after losing her son had recently passed within the year, she had gone and taken a notebook and she just wrote certain messages to her son. And the moment I connected with her the moment I connected with her, her son came through and said to me, Matt, I know about the messages. Tell my mom I know about the messages. And she's like, what messages? I'm like, he's showing me this notebook. And the woman, like, I thought her face was going to drop. She was like, every day I write in this notebook to my son. I can't believe that he reads it in heaven. I'm like, yeah, I'm like, when you're putting that pen down to paper, it's not that your son's creeping in the house in the middle of the night and reading that book. It's like when you put that pen down to paper and you're writing out those messages, when you're in that moment with your son. And yes, he hears you.
Okay, so also when I'm lighting these candles, I've had a couple of not so good people pass on, and some kind of despicable. But with empathy, I've learned that whatever traumas they went through, put them in that position, and I kind of feel as though no one's honoring them. People are happy that as a couple of people, I know people were relieved, happy they were gone, still holding hate and anger for them. And I get it, rightfully so. I've kind of done this thing where I've been lighting them a candle because I feel no one else is. Ever since I thought about my uncle who no one spoke to. And I wonder if that is resonating at all for somebody who maybe...
absolutely does. Absolutely does. And, the thing is that our loved ones do change on the other side. When they've been through challenges and struggles and hurdles, and there was something here in this world that caused them pain or hurt or whatever it may be that caused them to be a certain way, that on the other side, when they are away from that, they're able to be a different version of themselves. What I love about this is that sometimes it's not till after a loved one passes away that we're able to have a different conversation with them. For example, there's so many souls that I speak to that here in this world, they may have been through a hardship. That hardship may have been alcoholism, addiction. It may have been mental illness, whatever it may be. Those are all things that affect us as humans, but they don't affect us in the afterlife. In fact, in the afterlife, we are the best version of ourselves.
Yeah, and aren't there theories that sometimes those souls chose that journey for whatever reason, and I don't know. I don't know. Is it to educate the rest of us? I don't know. Maybe the people around them. I don't know. But I've heard that too. Do the souls sign up for whatever journey they're on, whether it's to be a rock star or somebody who's a quadriplegic? Is that true?
I definitely think so. I mean, I think that there's definitely cases like that. If there's no real right way to know until we go to the other side and we look back with our spirit guide and see, why it was that we went through all of this. But I definitely think that there's times where there's got to be. I mean, I believe in everything and I believe in nothing. I think that there's so many things in heaven that I still don't know as a medium, right? And when I get to the other side, I can have so many questions for the angels and God, myself, about why people suffer, why we have to go through certain things, But the thing is that once we get to the other side is when life truly makes sense through a different perspective.
When we get to the other side.
When we get to the other side. Because sometimes it doesn't make sense here when we're living life.
Right.
Yes. It's like we don't know why certain things happen until we get to the other side and we look at our life as a whole, and then we're like, oh, okay.
I get it. That's what I get it now. Yeah. Because that's one I struggle with too. It's like when you do, I mean, again, I love you believe in everything, you believe in nothing. But when you see someone who, I guess it's made it easier for me to see sometimes when people have hardship, it's that's what they signed up for. Maybe it's my human way of not feeling as bad. But is there karma attached to? So if someone has a really bad life here, is it past life? Are they paying a debt for karma in their past life? Do you think?
I got to be honest with you. I haven't seen any proof for that. I don't believe that.
Okay, good.
I don't. But I will tell you this, that being a medium, right? When you're doing a reading, it's not just about telling a person information. You sense things and feel things about that person. You feel the pain that they've gone through, the anxiety that they go through, the worries that they go through, everything, right? And I can tell you that everybody has a challenge. Everybody has some type of hard in their life. It might be a health struggle that's really hard for them to deal with. It might be a mental illness struggle that's really hard for them to deal with. It might be a financial struggle where here in life they just can't get their finances together. It might be a love struggle where they can't find love here in this world. no matter who you are, there's some type of hard within life that you go through. There's some type of challenge that we all go through. And, to each person going through it, it's the same hard, it's the same type of battle when you're in it.
I think there's nothing more fun than going into the brick and mortar Macy's in the spring, getting pumped up for summer. I think it's a great way. I don't know, to anticipate the new season coming. I know winters are a grind. They're tough. And for people in cold weather communities, this is kind of the coming out party. This is the time, spring. And spring in those areas is still cold. I was back east last week. It's 50 degrees. But when it gets warm, you really can get out there. And I just love being able to go into to Macy's and to shop and pick out my stuff, whether it's bathing suits and things like that. But, for you gals, there's a lot of things to get. And, it's always fun. I always go with Maria, too, because, as you know, I like to get my feel-good pretzel at the mall. Just saying. But some of our best memories is going by there and getting what we need. And like I said, it's always exciting to do it right before a season. And with this being the summer season, it's very cool. And it's actually quite convenient. Anyway, go to Macy's.com or go into the Macy's store or go to our website and see some of Maria's picks. And to be clear, in the podcast description of this episode, you can go to the link that says Maria's Macy's wish list, click on that, and find all of Maria's favorite items that also could be yours. If you do, though, just let us know. Jay, probably you don't even have a good salad right now. But I'm telling you,
salad.
Dwayne, you have a nice salad, nice thick salad.
I can have a better salad.
Dwayne, you know what it is with you? I don't think you spend a lot of time on your salad.
You'd be surprised.
You put a lot of time.
I do actually. It's a process.
But Dwayne,
sure.
You've got a lot of salad. You can do a lot with that salad. So, when you get older, it thins, you start getting more limited with your salad, which is why you need companies like Way to help you. Theway.com, TheOuai.com. And again, please use the promo code Heal Squad for 15% off. Plus, it gives us brownie points with the company. They go, you know what? This is a good place to advertise. We're going to stick it out with you guys. And then we can keep bringing you this great product. And by the way,
like Salad Talk.
You know what? Yes, let's put that in beta. Okay. Maybe we can drop it on a Saturday or a Sunday show, Salad Talks with Kevin and Dwayne. And all we do is discuss hair techniques, right? We can go over products, techniques, styles. What else are you thinking, Dwayne?
Form, color,
styles through the years.
Oh, that's a good one.
Textures,
yeah,
right? Textures.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, how to straightening, curling.
Wow, that's
utensils.
You're going. That's great. That's a lot.
I think we might break the internet with this show. I like it. So it's what Heal Squad Salad Talk. Oh, I got it. Heal Squad Saturday Salad Talk with Kevin and Dwayne. It's a winner, Dwayne. Dwayne, do you think someone's going to steal it now?
I hope. I mean, I don't know another Kevin and Dwayne. Do you?
Yeah, but maybe they'll change the names.
It doesn't ring the same.
Saturday Salad Talk.
It won't launch, Joe. It's the ring. We have the ring. It's okay.
I'm so nervous now because, once you let the toothpaste out of the tube with a good idea, you can't put it back in.
That's right. We got to capitalize.
So, Dwayne, I need you to go to copyright.gov.
Got it.
We got to copyright the name.
Mm-hmm.
Then we got to go to trademark.org. And we got to trademark it. We're going big with this.
Got it.
We're going big. All right. Let me just go put in some more leave-in conditioner.
What was that? What was that promo code again?
it's theway.com. Mm-hmm. Promo code Heal Squad.
For how much?
15% off.
15. That's crazy. Awesome. Thank you.
It's funny. So when we opened this interview, and I don't know if you were just saying this directly to me and Maria or if you were saying it in general, before we opened the interview, excuse me, when we were talking before we started taping, we are not being forced. Let's see. We are not being forced. We are not being. We are. Okay. I'm screwing this up. But I was talking, I think it was about rushing decisions. And, because I was saying to you how, with a baby now, do I leave the hustle and bustle of LA and go to a safer town or community? And you said, don't rush anything. Don't feel like you're being forced into making any decision. Was that just to me and Maria, or is that a general term for everybody?
Well, it's to you and Maria, but I think that other people can take away from it as well. The thing is that I personally don't live my life that way. Like if I'm being forced to do something at the moment, I'll be like, you know what? It can wait 12 hours. It can wait another week. It can wait 2 weeks because things happen in the meantime. And I know as a medium that things happen within our lives. And sometimes we don't see things for what they are, right? We're rushed in a moment. We're human. We're like, I want this right now. So therefore I have to do this right now. But what I can tell you is that let things breathe a little bit. Sometimes it's not until you let things breathe that other things come to light. And it happens a lot with problems, right? When there's a problem that's going on, people feel like they have to rush to make a decision. They have to feel like they have to rush to fix it. But if you just kind of let it simmer for a little bit, right? And come back to it, a lot of times it'll just work itself out, as it goes on. I see it happen all the time.
Yeah, I'm a rush to fix. I'm a fireman. And sometimes it's too much, too fast. Yeah, I'm not very good at that, but I'd like to get good at that. And I definitely like the idea of not being forced to make decisions and not rushing.
I had to learn this myself because I'm a resolutionist. I always have to have a resolution to things. That's just how it is. I just can't accept it not to be. Like even when I'm doing readings, I have to find a resolution, for the person that I'm reading for. It's just who I am. It's in my DNA. It's in my blood. But I have a really good friend of mine who always says to me, back when it's actually one of my what's it called? Someone on my business team who every time I'm like rushing to do something or rushing to get something done, so it's like, Matt, can it wait till tomorrow? Can it wait till tomorrow? Like, why does it have to be done right now? Let it wait till tomorrow. It can wait till tomorrow. And he's right, because the thing is that sometimes when we're rushing and we push, we lose steps in the meantime. It's almost like when we're rushing, when we're cooking, right? When we're cooking and we know the recipe, we know the meal, we know what we want. We're cooking. We always miss out on an ingredient. It doesn't come out as good. It's not like when we take our time and just do it.
Right. Really good advice. Yeah. Because right now, everyone, whatever side you're on, is concerned about this election in November. Are you seeing anything in terms of, are we heading into more chaos?
I mean, to be honest with you, politics is always going to be chaos. I stay as far away from politics as I possibly can because it consumes you. It consumes you. And the thing is that no matter what side you're on, when you're watching television and you're watching the news, it affects your life.
It does.
And, this is what happens. We're spiritual beings. We pick up on energy. And we can pick up on if someone's sending us good energy, if someone's sending us bad energy. And we pick up on the energy around us. And life is too stressful as it is. I had to actually stop watching the news because with all that's going on with the war in the world and all that, I can't see it. I personally can't see it because it hurts me too bad watching other people in pain, watching what's going on. I had to sadly had to take a step back from it because it affects your energy.
Yes, I agree. Do you think that at least can you see if humankind, do we figure out, can we continue to go on, or is there an end to this?
No, we're going to continue to go on. We're going to make mistakes, right? But it's going to happen. Unfortunately, unfortunately, the thing is that we're our own worst enemy.
We are. But that's really good. Yeah, that's really good to hear. Do you ever, now this is just like me lightening it up. I know our Friday shows when we go really light, but whatever, I'm going to have some fun. Do you ever try to channel, or does anyone have you try to channel anyone famous?
So, yeah, that's a really good question. So I got to tell you, the secret of this is that you can't channel someone famous unless you have someone, some type of a connection to them. So like, I can't just go and dial up Frank Sinatra or, Marilyn Monroe or someone like that. You have to have some type of connection to them. So like either a family member, or maybe if you go and visit a place that they loved here in this world, maybe they'll come through, right? There's going to be some type of a connection between you and between them.
Got it. Okay. So, and again, if they don't come in, they don't come in. But this is really going to sound silly, but I have this fascination for the actor Jack Lord, and Maria, for one of my birthdays, bought me his suit, a gold pistol that Elvis Presley gifted him.
That's crazy.
And I want to tell a story about his life because there's just so many weird, interesting things that happened in his life that no one knows about. And it's obscure. It's very obscure. And I've always kind of wanted to channel in there and see, I don't know, is it you feeling anything? I mean, because I put a lot of time and effort into this, but I've never gone far enough to say, okay, now let's make this movie. But like I said, I've got all the props. I've done research. I've talked to people who knew him. So it's just interesting because I've always thought about, someone even obscure like that, it could be channeled.
Oh, yeah. I mean, listen, I think that, so it depends on what type of medium you are, right? Like there's some mediums that will hold on to a person's gun or shirt or whatever it is and feel the energy, because what's really cool is that everything that we touch leaves a trace of our energy. For example, the water bottle that you use every day, the chain that you wear, the ring that you wear, right? It doesn't actually have that soul attached to it, but sometimes items can carry a story. So for example, that gun might have a story of its own. That suit that he wore might have a story of its own, but it doesn't actually provide kind of like the link to them, if that makes sense.
Got it. Okay. Got it. Interesting.
Like, for example, like if I held on to that suit, right, I might be able to tell you the type of person that he was, his likes and dislikes or things like that, but it doesn't give me that direct
connection to him.
Right. It's almost like this. It's almost like if you walked into my house and I wasn't there. Okay. If you walked into my house right now, I wasn't here, you knew nothing about me, but you went around the house and you looked at my pictures and you looked at my belongings and you looked at my things, right? You can get an energy, you can get a feeling of, oh, okay, he was really super neat. Okay, he was organized. Yeah. Okay, he liked this. He was this type of person. He enjoyed this type of coffee, right? It paints a picture. Well, it's because it carry, our, just like that, our items carry a picture of us. They carry a link to us.
Well, I've always felt one of the things I've enjoyed about historical artifacts, the very few things I've been able to hold or even see, I have felt a great connection to whoever held them or wore them. I mean, going down, I think last year, a couple of years ago, I took my niece down to Washington. We did Gettysburg. We did all the things.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
And by the way, the heavy feeling of death in Gettysburg that I could feel, and she's more intuitive than me. She's super tuned in. It just felt, you could just feel like there was so much carnage, so much bloodshed. But it was just cool to get close to some of the uniforms, even George Washington's uniform, just to be, I don't know, a foot away from it. It's interesting you say that because I've always gotten, I just thought it was sentimental, but maybe it's more where I feel I can see more into who it was, who held it, who touched it, wore it. Whatever.
Oh, absolutely. I remember that was the hardest thing. Being a medium, the hardest thing was going in, finding a house, because when I was house hunting, every house has an energy, right?
Yeah.
So I'd walk in and be like, yeah, no, I don't want to live here. And they're like, why? Well, I feel something. What do you feel? Bad things happen in this house. No one died, but you could feel it.
But all houses do have energy, don't they?
Oh, they definitely do.
Right?
Definitely do. Absolutely. And, sometimes it's hard too, because for example, if you're moving into a condominium or an apartment, that unit that you're moving into might have residual energy from somebody who was there earlier. It might be that you're moving into a place where the couple that were there were going through a divorce or going through a domestic situation or whatever it may be, and that comes through. It's and you feel that being in the house. I can't tell you how many people think that their houses are haunted or think that there's a soul that's with them, when really what it is energy that's left over.
Listen, okay, I think I can help some of our listeners with this, Matt, and I think you can too. So a lot of times we'll go to the base and go, is this house haunted or not? Or I don't believe in that, whatever. I will just talk about energy, chaotic, disruptive energy. I think of one of the houses I grew up in, not my first house, my second house. I remember when we moved in, it was a divorced couple. There was addiction, drug use with the kids. It was peepholes in the walls and vandalism and spray painting weird things or whatever. I mean, it just was messy. And my dad, single-handedly renovated it all on his own, which killed him because he was also a construction laborer and a fireman. But we as a family, went from, being like a crazy Italian family to like a violent, crazy. I mean, the house was just a lot of pain, a lot of suffering, a lot of chaos. Now, the reason I don't think it's an isolated incident is because there's another house, a second house that I owned for a business. And I ended up I was lucky enough to have it as a second house. So I let a lot of artists, friends just live there because I didn't really care. It was like I had my house. I'm like, all right, it's a good piece of property. I'll keep it. And if I can hook up friends and artists, fine. But the amount of but when I got it, it was a foreclosure from the 2008 collapse.
Oh, yeah.
And people who left vandalized and trashed the whole house because they were so angry they lost the house. So I went in and did a quick renovation on it. None of my friends lived there. But like when I think of like the amount of addiction and being up all night playing video games and like just taking drugs or just alcohol, and just how I kind of watched them all decay. When the pandemic hit, I was and Maria's mother was dying. Then Maria had tumor. I said, okay, I gotta stop. I gotta take my life more serious. I'm gonna re-renovate that house and get rid of it. So I renovated it, and I felt like I honestly cleaned out all the dark energy because I did a complete renovation. Do you know, Matt, like a year later, that house is all back to being overgrown, boards, fences, the fences are like racked or whatever. And I swear to God, like there's just dark energy attached to that house.
Yeah, it definitely can happen. It definitely can. I mean, I've seen it happen, quite a bit as well. And, if you would have stayed there and you would have upkept it, it would have been fine. But the thing is that sometimes that energy can come back.
Well, it's funny. So the real estate agent was a friend of mine, and 3 times the thing was going for sale, 3 times it fell out. And she's like, I've been doing this for 20 years. This has never happened. She's like, I'm going over to sage the house. And she saged the house and we sold it.
Yep.
So is there anything, Matt, like, is there any way to, I guess I would advise somebody when you go into a house to just ask yourself, does it feel right? And maybe to you, it might be like, hey, there's not enough sunlight. It's not, do you know what I mean? But I think we all kind of know if it just go with that feeling of like, does this just feel right? Does this, because a lot of times we just rush in. We rush again, right? Like, oh my God, I love that kitchen, or it's brand new, or God, we've been looking forever and we're not going to find another one like it, whatever the case is. But we don't take the time to go, does this feel right? I know I did when I was younger. Does this feel right?
I mean, I got in trouble because I was looking for 5 years. And, what was funny is that the realtor, I think, wanted to kill me because I'd go into a house and she'd be like, what'd you think? Be like, no, it's I'm not into that one. And she's like, well, what didn't you like about it? I didn't like it. Yeah, but what didn't you like about it? I'm like, I didn't feel it.
Didn't
She's
feel
like,
it.
well, what didn't you feel? I'm like, I couldn't see myself living there. It's a beautiful house, beautiful place, nice price, but not for me.
Were you right?
And she's like, what?
Were you
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, see? And I just feel like it goes back to, I'm always talking about on our show is mindfulness, is I was never mindful with anything I did. And I feel like most of us aren't. We just caffeinate, we force our way through. But when you take that time to be mindful about it on the base level, maybe it's energy. On your level, Matt, it's something more. But for those of us like mortals who don't have your power, right? Like it's just a matter of, does this feel right? And if it doesn't, honor that. And then
Or look for the roadblocks, right? I think that what people miss is that here's what I do as a medium that I really, that you can do as well. Anybody can do it. You don't have to have mediumship abilities to sense and receive messages, right? Messages come in as signals or as notifications. So, for example, people say, well, how do my spirit guides stop me from doing something? How do my spirit guides warn me from doing something? Well, they throw friggin' roadblocks in your way, and nobody wants to hear that, right? Us as humans, we don't want to hear it because, and I'll tell you something, me as a medium, I might sound good on this podcast, but there's times where I don't listen to the other side as well. There's times where they'll say, it won't work, it won't work, it won't work. And I'll say, screw it, I want to try it, right? Because the thing is that as humans, we are our own worst enemy.
Yes.
But the thing is that it's all about looking, right? Looking and reading the signs that come in. For example, I'll tell you that there was a studio space that I was looking for at the time. It was right before COVID had happened, and we were going to go and do some stuff in there. And long story short, I was looking at this office place to move everybody into, and I was going to have all of my team there and whatnot. And it was like I was looking at it with rose-colored glasses. Like it would be the perfect place for us. We could all go in there. It'd be our home base, so on and so forth. So I had gone ahead and I was putting a bid on this piece of property, and the next thing you know, it was like a million things were going wrong. All of a sudden there was issues with the space, there was issues with the inspection, there was issues with all of these things, and immediately I was like, you know what? No, when everything started falling apart and going wrong, I'm like, there's something here that I'm not seeing. It's like I believe when it's meant to work, the pieces just fit together. It just comes together like this. And I feel like when there's friction, when there's a lot of things happening, and everything is pulling you in the opposite direction, it's because Spirit's trying to warn you. So, anyways, I pulled out of the deal. And long story short, the next thing you know, COVID had happened, and we were being shut down, and everything had happened. And luckily, thank God, I wasn't tied up with that property because I wouldn't have been able to use it. So the thing is that when things don't come together nicely, when things don't come together smooth, and you're pushing and you're pushing and you're pushing and you're pushing and it's not working, try another avenue, try another road. Because, the thing is that, like I said, we spend so much time trying to force things together when a circle is not going to go through a square hole, right? That's really the best analogy to tell you.
Yeah. I was going to say, like I said in part one, with my dad, why weren't you there? Why the medium said, he's telling you, I was there. I was presenting the roadblocks. I was showing you, you just weren't listening, which I wasn't. I was just forcing through. So I think that's a great note. Matt, this was such a pleasure, such a gift to us. I love what you're doing. Again, the name of his book, We Never Die. Great for anyone who's dealing with loss or death. And then also, Matt, what's your website? Because I know you're on tour as well.
Yes, so it's meetmattfraser.com. If the dead can find me, you can find me. And that's where you can find everything. My books, my tour dates, online readings, everything.
Meet Matt Fraser. So Matt, we have to get together in New England with Maria. We're very we live. If I can ever finish that house, I don't want to put you on the spot, but I'm trying to channel when I think of this house and everything I've been through in this house for the 18 years I've had it. A pipe bursting in it, wrecking the whole house. The contractors taking forever. And I'm saying to myself, oh my God, am I getting the angels sending me roadblocks to say?
No, unfortunately, that's a different type of issue. That's just with life. I can tell you, we just went through the same thing renovating our house, and it's like, the problem is there's a shortage of skilled craftsmen here
right
in the U.S.
Now, yeah.
That's really what it is.
That's all. Okay, so I'm not getting signs from the universe.
No. I actually, if you ask 10 more people, they're going to tell you they go through the exact same situation.
Yeah. Well, my feeling is on this house because of the pipe burst or whatever, and I feel like water is cleansing because what I'm now going to be able to do with this place for my family, for my daughter, I'm thinking for extended family, God forbid anyone of my loved ones needs a place, they'll have it. I'm actually able to redo it now in the way it should be done. So I'm hoping I'm not being just being an optimist, and that I'm not ignoring signs because, man, it's been an uphill battle. But again, we'll meet when we're back there, and then maybe you can tune in when you come to the property. And then I do want you in August. I know your next book's coming out, so I want now you and Maria to go at it, so we can talk about that. But Matt, thank you so much again. What a pleasure. Thank you.
Perfect. Well, listen, it was great. It was great being here with you, and thank you for all that you're doing as well.
As we say in Boston, we'll talk shortly.
Yes, yes. And as we say in Rhode Island, we'll see you later.
We'll see you later for some, what is it? Lemonade? Dell's Lemonade.
Dell's Lemonade, yeah.
Yes,
yeah.
I think I sold some Dell's Lemonade back in the day. Whole other story. Matt,
Really? Oh,
yeah, back, by one of my many lives. We'll see each other in New England, Matt. Great interview. You know, sometimes I feel life's a lot easier when you believe in the works of the Matt Frasers and you believe there's something else out there. Dwayne, I know you're very much into science and tech.
Indeed.
So, you know, what were your thoughts in love and light, safe space, you know, say what you want.
Well, I think there's definitely some interesting points he made. I'm leaning a bit more skeptic, but there are a lot of things that science just can't prove. And so why not? Like, it's impossible to prove, you know, life after death in science. And so if he has an answer, that's awesome.
I guess,
could believe
but
that.
conversely, it's impossible to prove there is life after death too, right?
Right.
So it's just either, I guess it's either way.
And so it's cool that there are practices and things out there, including this, that, you know, do have answers and do have, you know, some form of proof that you can follow. And that interests me for sure.
I think if you know, we're always talking about how you can manifest. So if it leads to something positive, you know, believing in this and having these conversations with, you know, or communicating with people who've passed, and if there's a positive effect on it, then why not?
Exactly.
You know,
Totally.
why
I agree.
not?
100% agree.
Well, we'll definitely talk to him again. Interested in he and Marie getting together. I know we know John Edward. He's been a very dear friend of ours. It's funny, Maria sat with Tyler Henry for his show. We did an episode of his show when it was on E! He was here at the house. And I wrote down a lot of the stuff he said. Most of it kind of came true in a different way. But if I look back at the notes, like, wow, that actually did happen. So, yeah, I don't know. I would say I would call myself a believer because I've just seen too many coincidences, and I think I've had too many experiences, but that's just me. I'm really grateful he came on, and yeah, we look forward, as we say in Boston, to more conversations. But in the meantime, Dwayne,
Kevin,
be nice people, make good choices, and stay present.
This podcast and all related content published or distributed by or on behalf of Maria Menounos or mariamenounos.com is for informational purposes only and may include information that is general in nature and that is not specific to you. Any information or opinions expressed or contained herein are not intended to serve as or replace medical advice, nor to diagnose, prescribe, or treat any disease, condition, illness, or injury, and you should consult the healthcare professional of your choice regarding all matters concerning your health, including before beginning any exercise, weight loss, or healthcare program. If you have or suspect you may have a healthcare emergency, please contact a qualified healthcare professional for treatment. Any information or opinions provided by a guest expert or host featured within website or on company's podcast are their own, not those of Maria Menounos or the company. Accordingly, Maria Menounos and the company cannot be responsible for any results or consequences or actions you may take based on information or opinions.